G'day boys, welcome back to another Frostbite's G.I. Joe Repro opening. Today we're going to look at Flint, this guy, this AI mess of an image. But whatevs. People have talked about it too much. Today we're going to talk about the toy itself. Now, we're talking about, like a retro remake of this guy. Not a bad figure. 1985. I believe this is the Fun School version. So, quite a nice figure, but not really one of the big ones in my collection. I've never really been a massive fan of Flint as a character or as a figure. So when I saw this one in the shops, this was nothing more than just to grab it and take a look. When we look at the file card for this guy, it is very gung-ho. It says Flint was a Rhodes Scholar and earned his degree in English literature, bored by the groves of academy. He enlisted in the army and applied the tenacity and concentration he had used so well scholastically to grind his way through airborne school, ranger school, special forces school, and finally flight warrant officers school, graduating each with top honors. A thorough tactical planner, Flint drafted and personally led a half a dozen rescue missions in hostile territories that for obvious reasons of security were never publicized, let alone admitted to. And then they have the quote at the bottom, which is him, or someone talking about him saying, "We had thought Cobra had us in the stinking dungeon for good, so we didn't know what was going down. When we heard that chopper coming in and all the heavy hardware going off like the 4th of July. Then somebody kicked it down the door to our cell, and then the smoke cleared. There was Flint with that lopsided grin saying, 'Come on, boys, we're going home.'" So yeah, look, I don't really see too much exciting stuff about the V1 figure. This one does look a bit more exciting, and I think it's just because we've gotten to a point we can make bigger figures and therefore apply a lot more detail. We're not going to talk about this side too much apart from it's crap. So let's just leave it at that. Not going to worry too much about the back of this either because, I've already done the video on CoverGirl. I'm still in two minds whether to bother about that. If I still see it on the shelves next time in the one shop in Canberra that sells G.I. Joe, maybe I'll grab it. We'll see how we go. All right, let's get this sucker open.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages. Now back to G.I. Joe.
So we're going to open it from the sides, like I usually do. And this is only because you'll notice that, I'm being careful not to harm the card. Sometimes I use these cards to recycle and use them for other things. Most notably when I'm sending things to people that need some type of backing card. I like using the cards from the toys that I've opened. To me, that's the sign of a good seller, when the things that are supporting your items in transit are actual toy pieces. All right, here he is. There's our don't stick it in your mouth and choke on it literature. Here's our stand. Nothing too exciting. Just a stand. I mean, I was about to say I don't know why, but I do know why. Why they don't put names on these things, and it's just to save money. Seems like the American Airlines olive, right? Just don't bother with the writing, and you're saving yourself $1 million a year or something. They could at least write G.I. Joe or something on these things. It really is an average effort for a stand. Yeah. All right. Let's have a look at this beret first. This thing is awesomely identical to the original piece. So that's great. That's a great start. The weapon. Really nice. Really quite like that. It's really nice how they've, done multiple colors on this, and the detail on it is pretty good. For such a simple weapon, it is really nice. Getting 3 sets of hands with this figure. There's our, he's over there, hand. Here's our groping hand, honk honk. Handgun. Nice, just nice and simple. Now, I think this is one of the best parts of this figure. The detail on this backpack is fantastic. I really like it. Nice curve on it. It just has a lot of throwback to that original backpack. Like, a lot of throwback. Like, identical, apart from maybe this pouch. Really good job on that.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages. Now, back to G.I. Joe.
That's plenty of those. Okay. Now, I think when we compare the dog shit AI used to make the picture for this guy, such a difference with the head sculpt. I find that the funny thing here, because, you want to be making figures based on the beautiful artwork. With this, it's like there was just 2 different teams. One went off and did their own thing with a whole bunch of beers and weed. And then the other people were like, yeah, let's actually focus on making a nice mold. Whilst I would never say this is the best mold ever made, I quite like it for him, and I think they've done a decent job. I would give this head mold, I don't know, like a 7 out of 10 or something. There's nothing really wrong with it. I think it's a really great haircut on this guy. And the face sculpt, to me, this is a lot like what we're seeing from the the 97 series of X-Men out at the moment from Hasbro. It's not so much a like a serious head mold. It's more of a almost a bit more cartoony. I know we've had a lot of head molds come out for the G.I. Joe series that do sort of take a bit more of that serious look at things. But this one, I believe, is definitely more of a cartoony look for the face. Let me know what you think in the comments. You know, when I initially saw the artwork for this, I was like, blur, I'm not getting that. And then when I saw this in the shops, I was like, blur, I'm not getting that. And then when I actually picked it up weeks later and looked at the head sculpt, I was like, actually, that's not bad. That's not bad for the price. And that's what actually led me to buying this, was checking out the head sculpt instead of focusing on the art on the packaging. Now, when you move past all of that and look at the body sculpt, this is a retro figure. This is so close to the original, it's not funny. Now, keeping in mind, this is a fun school version, so the colors are a little bit different. Colors should be more like it is on this classified figure. So I'm loving that they've just kept everything, really. I mean, there's a bit of a difference there with the undershirt. He looks like he's got no undershirt at all. But they've gone to that great detail of, you know, the red splashes on the beret and the shoulder pads. We've got these shotgun round holders here on the chest. What's that hiding under there? That's his airborne insignia. It would have been nice if they had some type of name tag here, like a Flint or something, or even just a little G.I. Joe symbol. We've got what looks to be a hawk or an eagle on the belt buckle. And the way that they've made this belt as well, like, I know it's exactly like the original, so this is not a new concept, but I love that this is a form of webbing, and we've got the two different belts happening there. Now this bottom belt is, you know, it's got your small rounds on it, your handgun rounds, which would almost say to me, he's got the wrong handgun. If that's what they are, and that's what they look like to me, is rounds. So if, you know, if you're carrying that kind of handgun, you wouldn't be carrying individual rounds, for sure. I would think you would be carrying, you know, a proper handgun, like a 6-shooter. Not something that takes magazines. Otherwise, you would just have a magazine holster. Maybe I'm just reading that wrong. But love, you know, that was the thing with this original figure, was the gold and red detail set against the camouflage and the jet black background. And they've followed that up really nicely with this figure. Seeing the shotgun shell strike points being their pure gold, well, I know they're not gold in reality, but just in the coloring, that is really nice. The belt buckles with a nice, beautiful gold color, that is excellent. And just set, like, just simple colors. I really like that. Let's see how he looks with his handgun. This handgun almost looks a bit small for him. That looks too small. Be thinking for a for his rank, which is a warrant officer, I'd be thinking he should have some kind of bigger weapon. And even for the holster, it looks too small for the holster. So that's him with his handgun. Let me know if you think that looks too small or whether it looks right. So let's holster that. Just, it looks like some kind of kid's weapon. Doesn't look right for him. I would be thinking he would have some kind of, he's got this, right? This is a weapon of dominance. Just a shotgun blast lets you know who's in charge. This thing does not let you know who's in charge. This thing looks like it lets you know who the biggest girl in the room is, and that today's Flint. So yeah. And even with the size of this holster, what is happening with that? Why is that double stacked like that? Like, is it just to bring it away from the leg more? I don't know why that holster is that big. It's not like it's holding magazines on the inside. That would be perfectly good excuse. Yeah, that's the handgun. Let's take a look at his beret. So that fits on perfectly, like a glove. Really like that. They've done really well with that. That's got to be one of the best fitting accessories I've seen with G.I. Joe Classifieds yet. And I know they sort of had to, but I like that it is a separate accessory. They always have the choice to do things, and they could have made that just part of his mold. But they've gone to that extra touch of just having it as a separate accessory, and it looks really nice. Like, great job with that. It absolutely sets the figure off a lot more. Now, the shoddy, the blat blat. This is the weapon of choice for this guy. Let's change that hand over to El Gropo. Because that's why he's got that hand, right? Surely. Surely. You groping that gun? Surely that's why he's got that hand. Okay, backpack. Now, I don't remember seeing many classified backpacks. I'm not an expert. I'll always say that. I haven't seen many of the backpacks that are as curved as this is. But it fits well. Now, just like his beret, this fits really, really well. They're definitely learning as they go. As they're making these figures, they're learning more and more and applying that knowledge. So maybe it just is a case that, you know, we're seeing this more of a curve rather than some bloody straight backpack like we saw with Lowlight back in the day. Lowlight's backpack, I found, had a lot of troubles actually staying on because it was just this straight thing with a long peg, whereas this is short peg but way more curved and it's sticking to the body. So I'm pretty happy with this figure. Like the detail on it is pretty fantastic. And I say fantastic, but it's a simple figure. So it's one of these things in life, right? You should make it your mission to get the simple things right. If you can't do the simple things right, then how do you expect to do the difficult things right? So this figure, except for the dog shit artwork, this figure is really good and gets the simple things correct. The detail on the shotgun, the detail on his minor webbing, having this beautiful fitting beret, having the backpack fit perfectly. Minor details like the gaiters, or not the gaiters, sorry, like his boots. Just really nice. Looks really great. I'm not sure about this holster on the side though. It just doesn't seem right to me. I think that would have been a great place to have some fake magazines coming out of. I've never seen a holster like that, but I would sure as shit adopt it really quickly if they did. And then also, can somebody please tell me, am I wrong that if he has rounds on his belt, why has he got a handgun with a magazine? Because we know they're not shotgun shells. They're shotgun shells. These look like rounds for a handgun. And that's it. That's Classified Flint. I think all in all, they've done an excellent job. I'm very happy I purchased it now that I've been able to get it out of the box and take a look at it. I think they've done a great job. Let me know in the comments what you think. And if you want some more content like this, check out my members only section. For a couple of bucks a month, you'll get an extra 2 to 3 videos a week. And also, I run a competition. I run a free giveaway every month. So for a couple of bucks a month, you could be the winner. This month I'm giving away about $70 Australian worth of toys. So yeah, give it a think. Let me know in the comments if you've bought this figure. If you haven't, are you gonna? Did this review help you out? Apart from that, boys, have a fantastic day. And until the next video, stay frosty. Bye-bye.